After I do, after I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody, um, welcome to another episode of After I Do the podcast.
What's up, party people?
It's your man Royale Watkins. The party people girl is April Watkins, the chocolate girl wonder. And so let's jump into another conversation as I adjust my microphone. So today, what we want to talk about, because of the social unrest that's out in the universe, because of Black Lives Matter movement, there seems to be a political awakening across the United States that's having a major impact on, like, you see statues of Robert E. Lee, Christopher Columbus, all of these symbols of white supremacy are starting to come down.
Crumble,
They're starting
yep.
to be toppled. And I think that there's great value to that, right? Some people will argue that, oh, it's just a statue. Why are we taking statues down? Well, is not the statue itself, but it's what the statue represents and celebrates. If you
Correct.
have a statue which is meant to honor a slave owner, then how am I supposed to feel as a descendant of a slave if this country is saying this is what we honor?
Exactly.
Right? And I think that it has implications that goes beyond just those statues. When you start to look at like hospitals that are named after Confederate generals and so forth, like you don't really.
Redskins, like you can go on.
I mean,
and
you just
and on.
until you are aware, until you start to awaken to these things, right? Right. When you start looking at Christopher Columbus High School and Robert E. Lee High School and all of
Streets in
these
Manhattan
streets in absolutely
named
Columbus
Christopher
Circle.
Columbus
Right?
Circle.
Why are we celebrating someone who was a rapist, who was a murderer, someone who was, all of these
Yeah.
things? And so now what's starting to happen is, right, there seems to be this snowball effect where you go, well, why are we celebrating a version of Jesus Christ that is not in line with what historians say Jesus would have looked like based on where he came from?
Right.
And so as we start to get into that, then it becomes, right, the next wave of this is, all right, Juneteenth, which is the celebration of the notification of the last group of slaves, I believe, in Texas. In Texas. Right, and if you think about Juneteenth and the diabolical nature of slave owners who were aware that slavery had ended because of emancipation, right, but chose not to
inform
their slaves / employees that they were free persons for 2 whole years.
2 whole years.
Right? Imagine being free and somebody not telling you for 2 whole years that you are now a free person and continuing to hold you in captivity as a slave. So, right, while Juneteenth has been denoted as the day that we recognize our independence as free persons, as being former slaves, African Americans, African descendants of slaves, ADOS. And I didn't know what that meant at first. I had to go look it up. That's the great thing about ADOS, ADOS, African descendants of slaves. ADOS. So that's when they start talking about reparations, and how do you accurately dispense any money funds that would go to it would go to ADOS, African descendants of slaves. So you have to tie your ancestry back to slavery and map it. And they could do it. You're right. They could do all this stuff.
Oh,
they could do it in a heartbeat if they really wanted to.
They have the technology.
But so the question becomes, as Black people in America, what's our Independence Day, right? Do we, for so long, I know me as a child, you go, man, can't wait for the 4th of July. Fireworks and hot dogs, hamburgers, picnics, and, sodas at the bottom of the cooler, cheap freaking grocery store sodas that didn't have a real name, just grape, orange. But, now as an adult, you go, oh, no, this is the celebrating the independence of America from European rule, right? And so that didn't really include me. And
Right. So will there be two different days?
why? I mean, what do you mean?
Are we
What do we?
ADOS
Right.
choosing to celebrate June 19th because that does speak to us?
Yeah, that's our
versus-
liberty.
right,
Our liberty from slavery.
and not July 4th.
Right. But then, do you? Okay. So what do you consider yourself?
African American.
Okay. So you could. So
Ed-
African
ADOS?
American, right? No, you said first African American. So what I wanted to point out is that so you recognize the Americanness of yourself in this country.
I do.
So do you tie that Americanness to the celebration that this country recognizes July 4th?
Now that I've read some and been enlightened, I don't think that is for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve me any good to celebrate that day. It doesn't make me feel good now that I have been educated.
Right, because you have to tie that to the Christopher Columbus of it all.
Correct.
Right, and how do you jive celebrating, right, that exploration and what that
They
exploration
should take
was
that
about?
off the book. You want to do something, take that off the books and make it a regular day. I don't know. It's just a thought. Because, again, if you're tearing down the monuments of said person and a holiday is for that person, how are we going to deal with, isn't Christopher Columbus a holiday too? In October?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Columbus
sure it is
Day.
Columbus Day. Yes, but I think they changed Columbus Day. I think that was recognized recently, and they changed it to President's Day. It's been changed. Don't quote me, but I think they realized that whoops, that's not good, and changed it to celebrate something. I think the only person that has a federal holiday that's an individual is Martin Luther King Jr., which is interesting and dynamic.
Yeah, but a lot of companies do not follow suit. My industry, Hollywood doesn't. We work on Martin Luther King's birthday. Banks, I believe, close, but not, like, it should be a holiday across the board.
If it's a federal holiday,
I
nobody's
don't think
supposed
it's
to
a
be
federal.
working.
It can't be. I don't know.
Gotta look it up. Let's all look it up. Let's be aware.
Yeah.
But now, if we're now going to have this conversation, now we have to get into why are we selling Valentine's Day? Do you know why we celebrate Valentine's Day?
I don't celebrate Valentine's Day, but no, you can tell me.
You don't celebrate Valentine's Day?
When have I ever asked you for anything on Valentine's Day?
Okay, that's
Never.
good to know. Guess what? That's good to know.
Have you? Okay, seriously. Have you ever bought me anything for Valentine's
I
Day?
have. I've got
Maybe
you flowers.
dating, but recently you have never.
Well, that's
told
because
you.
the flame is something happened to the flame.
Well, I don't.
No,
well,
I'm just
if
kidding.
it has happened, I wouldn't know because
No,
that's
fine.
not my day.
All right. What is your day?
My birthday.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's easily. We should celebrate that.
But go ahead,
But what
as you
about
said.
Christmas?
Ooh, that's gonna be tough. But I
Yeah,
don't mind
what
giving
about
it up.
Christmas?
It's just I know everything will change. You know, the more you learn, the more you're enlightened, the more you are woke. You'll understand how systematically they have brainwashed us into these holidays. And I feel bad for my people, African American ADOS, because they put us in a frenzy. And I
Black
know
people.
friends, black people, that go into debt for that one day.
It's insane.
That they will do the thing that you hate, which is layaway, that they will rob Peter to pay Paul just so those little kids can.
Have an experience.
And Royale has, and he can attest, there has been maybe 3 Christmases where there hasn't been shit in this house because we refuse to go into debt. I remember one Christmas, it might have been when Joey got the backboard. Like, that's all we had. We were like, he's just getting the backboard. Royce and Ross don't know what the F is going on. They don't care. And it was a very bleak Christmas. But guess what? We were like, mortgage or gifts? Mortgage was more important. Food in the house was more important. We lit this fireplace, and we had a great time.
To have a home and a family is the gift.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to go against the grain. You have to step away from what your friends are doing, your family are doing, and you have to look at your situation. I can't stand people that are trying to live, compete with the Joneses because everybody else is doing it. And you have to pay your rent, you got to pay your gas bill, light bill, whatever. And you take a chance on one day. It makes me so mad. And
But the marketing on it is so strong when you have, especially now with social media,
yeah,
where it used to be Christmas photos and you see them after the fact. But now it's like with social media, everybody's putting up
in real time.
same day, real time IG stories and photos and pictures and videos of, look at us, we got the biggest tree. Look at us, the house is lit up. It's all marketing.
It is.
Right? For the purpose of, I believe, driving those end of year dollars to help fuel the economy. And it's sold to you and bought to you by a fat white man named Santa.
It is.
It's a dangerous, dangerous thing that I think
So-
we have to stop buying into, right? Again, we have the good fortune that, right, why do we tell our kids that lie? Why do we buy into this corporate American lie that we sell to our kids, right, for the purpose of enriching somebody else's economy? It's not our economy.
Right.
We don't really benefit from it in the way that we
No.
should.
Not at all. I think it's just, again, keeping up with the Joneses, following suit. It's wrong. Santa ain't this fat white man coming down the chimney. But you realize your kids are at school. They're comparing what they get. They're comparing information. And you got that one militant or pro-black couple that teaches their kids no such thing as Santa, no fight, and then he's going to a private school with white kids, and it's awful. It's awful. And then you just kind of say, you know what, we give up. We're just gonna comply. Like, we'll go along with it.
Go along to get along.
I know that every year we have a Christmas Eve party. We're going to have a celebration this year. It won't have Christmas in it. It will just be a celebration of life or whatever. It will be probably on the 24th. I'm not recognizing Christmas. It's going to be tough because
Are we doing a Christmas tree?
that's another thing. I don't know what we can do with, what is it, Kwanzaa? Maybe we'll do Kwanzaa this year. We don't have to have a tree. I don't have to have a tree. I like the tree because of decorating, but again, I guess it's something that was sold to us from the very beginning. It makes you
How
question
much have
everything.
we spent on? What do we spend average on a tree?
Maybe no more than $200.
No, that's the new price. We used to spend $500-$600 on a tree. We've spent $500-$600 on the tree from what's the name?
Tapia?
Brothers? Tapia Brothers.
I beg to differ.
Okay, all right.
We've
Maybe
never.
I don't know. Really?
I've never gone that high.
Interesting.
Never. We never had a tree.
Would you
of-
say 250, 350?
I would say no more than 250.
Okay.
The biggest tree we had last year was 250. The trees we get from Tapia Brothers are always 185,
Interesting.
195. The ones 500 we never went. Then we went to Green Thumb. So I've always stayed under $300.
Okay.
I don't know. Everything, change hurts. Sometimes change is great, definitely good, at times. But this change so fast and bringing everything to light is going to have some feelings hurt. It's going to be different, but it's, in my opinion, it's all for the good. Why are we celebrating helping them create more wealth when it's really doing nothing for us? I'd rather save that money and do something for my children, but I think it would have been easier if we would have started that from the very beginning, especially with my grandkids. I have no idea.
Here's the deal. It's like when you know better, you do better. So
That's right.
This
So
is
we
where
know
we
better.
are. We know better, do better. No tree, no Christmas. Oh my God, no Christmas lights.
Nope.
That's, God bless you. Finally. Finally.
No, Hanukkah. Jesus, I keep saying that. Kwanzaa, we might be able to put up, how about some green and red?
No, we going to be like,
Lights.
who is this Jewish community at Christmas? They go to Vegas or go away because they don't really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're out of here. We'd just be like the Jewish people. You know how many friends I have? Like, oh, I don't celebrate that. We have
Listen,
Hanukkah.
it'd be nice if the cruise line was open. We go every year. We can just go away, go do a cruise for Christmas.
And just be
while
away.
Everybody else is. Or go to Africa.
I have friends that, so now you're talking about that. What are we doing for Thanksgiving?
Ain't no way in the world we can celebrate Thanksgiving from moving forward.
Nope.
And we're going to have to celebrate soul giving. We're going to
Something.
combine Christmas and Thanksgiving to our own new holiday, soul giving.
Yep, we need to
We're
figure
going to
that
make some
out.
soul food and give gifts during their Thanksgiving. Nah, but that's, again, I
We need
remember,
a
listen,
whole new regiment. Like,
pilgrims and
oh
Indians and
my,
all of that goofiness they taught us in school. I mean, it's just brainwashing.
I know.
It's all brainwashing. Christopher Columbus and them came here. They were savages. Indians tried to, not Indians, Native
Native
Americans.
Americans.
Americans, not Americans. Why are we putting this name? Original Americans tried to treat them with kindness and help them.
Open arms.
My
They
goodness, there's
said,
so
this
many
one guy,
stories.
historian said, the only way this all worked, the Indians had bow and arrows.
Americans.
Americans. And the Americans had bow and arrows, and
The
the
colonizers.
colonizers had muskets. And that's how they won. The gun beat
Yeah, the
the bow
bullets
and
are.
arrow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Bullets over bow and arrow.
Exactly. If they didn't have that, it would have been apples for apples, but they had the musket. I was like, wow. And that's what did it. They strong armed their way in, and just
Yeah, that's sad.
the rest is history.
Well, I mean, listen, there's so many stories out there. The you know, it's unfortunate. What's his bonehead attorney Barr recently said, history will be written by the winners, and it's such an arrogant thing to say, but it's so true. Like when you have control of the media, when you have control over the airways, when you control social media networks, right, you get to dictate the version of the story that will move forward. When you own the book companies and you write a version of history that goes into these textbooks that these kids read, that's the information that they process. They go, oh, Columbus came here and they tried to be nice to the Indians, and the Indians weren't nice. That's what kids learn in grade school. Oh, slaves came here because they wanted a better life for
I
themselves,
know.
and they
I read
needed
that.
work, and they needed a job, and they gave them a job.
They were
and
nice enough to
no,
give them a job.
not at all. That's not how it went, Timmy, and that's why Timmy and Connor have the perception that they have because they're uneducated. So,
Well,
but go back to the whole point of this. Again, I think that for us, a lot of things are going to continue to change. I
yeah.
think that we have to be. There's a social awakening that is attached to a spiritual awakening, and we have to be in a space where you have to be willing to be uncomfortable in order to create progress. One thing I will say is that I'm super proud of all of the people that are out there doing the groundwork right now.
Yep.
There's so many people that I can't even name them all, but I just know that, and they're people of all colors, nationality, hues, and we're all in this fight together, right? I don't think it's black versus white. I think it's the people who want to be on the right side of history versus the clowns. Because there's a lot of clowns out there who are set in their ways, who are misinformed, who are fighting for something that don't even make sense, fighting for things that they're unaware of, fighting for things that they're uneducated about. And I think that is the bulk of the problem. Is like you look at these people who are waving these Confederate flags who aren't even clear about what the Confederacy represented, right? And so on top of that, right, you got people trying to maintain lifestyles and ways of living, right?
And they don't,
because they're afraid.
they are afraid. They don't want to know. They're comfortable where they are.
They're afraid.
Yep.
And then to add to the confusion, you have political organizations that are paying people who look a certain way and who are a certain color to promote these ideas that even that is just a check for them. You go to political rallies and you see black people with these Trump T-shirts and blacks for Trump T-shirts. People don't. You see the optics of that, right? And it's confusing because then white people go, "Oh, black people like Trump." Like those people responded to a casting call, right, and are being paid. And in some cases,
Selling out.
in some cities, they'll say, "Oh, here's the deal. If you can either get paid for your time, or if you owe community service to this city or state or municipality, this will count against your community service." So again, if you go into the court system because you were speeding, drunk driving, or whatever, and you opt to do community service, and now, right, you got, say, 20 some hours of community service or 30 days of community service, and they're telling you, hey, guess what?
Go
If
to
you don't
this
feel like
rally.
doing that, all
Right.
you got to do is go to this rally and stand right here on camera and hold this sign. And now we're willing to waive all of that community service in exchange for this, right? That's now you're using the politics of the day.
Yep.
It's such a trick bag and so dangerous in many ways that it scares me. But again, I think it's on us to pay attention, to do our research, to do our homework, because for me personally, I just want to be a part of the solution. I don't care. It's not about color for me. It's about what's right and being on the right side of history, because I wanted to be a part of what the solution was that made it fair and equitable for all people.
Gotcha. So we just have to figure out moving forward. 4th of July, Thanksgiving,
Christmas
Christmas, and Valentine's
and
Day.
your birthday, because we got to stop doing
No.
stuff for that. That's
Valentine's
okay.
Day.
Okay.
Those are going to be some new, we need to implement some new ways of living around those days, because the kids come home, if they ever get back to school, they come home for Thanksgiving, they come home for Christmas. All of these things that have been forced down our throat, but we don't have to celebrate them. They're home, they're home. We don't do anything on that Thursday. Maybe that Saturday we just have friends over. A lot of people don't even do Thanksgiving anymore because they don't live in their town, so they do Friendsgiving. So we can do something like that. We can rename it Christmas. We'll talk about with Joey. There won't be a tree this year. You know, we're going to do Kwanzaa. I need to do more reading about Kwanzaa. I have a nice mantle now. We did some remodeling. So now I can actually have the candles up there and we light one every day. I think that's more in the realm of what we do anyway, because I know one day is giving, one day is making something by hand, and that's something I'm into. So I'm willing to do the research because they're not getting any more of my money. Like you said, when you know better, you can do better. So that's where we are right now. We know better, and it just won't happen anymore.
Well, again, I'm always curious to hear, what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap this episode up, but y'all feel free to inbox us if you have questions, if you comment, you want to have something that you would like us to cover subject-wise. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well.
Please subscribe.
And ask your folks to subscribe.
Yes,
all right?
and we're on all platforms.
We're all on the audio platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and all of the digital
Spotify.
platforms. So just go into your search apparatus and put in After I Do. And if you could leave us a review, feel free to leave us a review as well.
Yes.
All right, that being said, it's April, it's Royale. We'll see you on the next episode of
After I Do.
Because this one is out.
After I do, I do, I do. After I